Welcome to Big Dream Sports TV. As you can see, my main man is back.
Glad to have a trio back, man. It's good to be back.
I'm not in uniform, but you can see this big trophy right here. You know, lock it up, shut it down for the 239. #1 team in Lee County.
Literally just came off the field.
Straight to the
walked
studio.
in with the trophy. They just handed it to him and he brought it to the studio.
Smell like all kind of stuff right now. Shark poop, all that stuff right now. Just
Shark
funky.
poop.
I'm up here. I know these guys are holding their nose, but it's all good. Big Dream Sports TV. We in the studio. Come on, Owen. Don't do me like that, bro.
Why y'all think this is funny? y'all think this is funny? Y'all cracking jokes last week.
Bro,
Y'all think this? Come on now.
you going to hell.
Y'all ain't right, man.
Yo, that's not rehearsed, man. He
Y'all
pulls
ain't
that
right,
out
man.
on the humble.
Not
I
okay.
love it.
I'm back, though.
I love it.
I can't take it no more.
Hey, what's up, man?
OG is back.
I took enough abuse last week. I couldn't miss another week.
Back and better than ever.
All right, we back at it, baby.
I was gonna bring a neck brace to make y'all feel real bad.
Oh, that would have been super
I couldn't
dope.
find one, man. I couldn't find a neck brace. Nobody I knew had an old neck brace. I looked around, though. I definitely looked for it, but
Oh, man.
anyway, that's all I have.
That
man.
would've
I'm
been
not going to
amazing.
hell, man.
Yeah, listen, man.
It's funny. Hey, right? It was funny last week. It's not funny now.
No, it's still funny.
Yeah, I bet.
It's still funny.
Hey, let me straighten some things out here real quick. How about that? All right, let's go with suicide grip. And the bar was extra rolly. All right, I lifted the bar off. It rolled off the front. It had nothing to do with the weight. It was my first rep of the night. I lifted the bar off, rolled off the front of my hands, hit my chest, rolled on my neck. All right?
For what it's worth,
That's first and foremost, so it's a faulty bar. Let me tell you that. Second thing is, anybody who believes that picture in the firehouse with the bricks and the jorts and the work boots and the choker was me, y'all got it twisted, okay? That was not me in that picture. All right? I don't wear jorts.
it wasn't
Listen,
me.
Hold on. For what it's worth, I did say that you were being modest. I know you're way too strong to be worrying about 225. I said there was 400 on the bar, and that's why the trouble happened. Now, 225 easy for you.
I can't even squat
The
400.
picture man caught you red-handed.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah,
Pumping
right.
450 in the gym.
That's John.
That dude's in shape, man. He's jacked.
That looks more like John Cena than OG,
He's jacked,
to be
man.
honest with you. But hey, anyway, it's all fun. It was all good. I'm all good. It could have been a lot worse, so I'm happy. At least
We glad to have you back, bro.
right on my neck.
We glad to have you back.
Anyway, yeah. So Drew got his trophy. He's all sweating. Does stink like poop, like
We
you
all
said.
sweating today.
But I mean, that's normal.
No, bro, I usually be fresh to death when I come
It is
back.
good. It is good to be back, though.
Good to be back.
I didn't like watching the show without me on it last week. I gotta be honest.
This
This is not the same.
It feels a little lonely up in here. A little lonely. We'll be right back right after this short break.
Big dreams.
Is trained by me to be submissive and to yield as I am dominant in the lion nose. Today, I will show you my birthright. I will show you that I am still alive.
Guess who's Bazak? Big dreams. Feeling good. Feeling great. How are you?
How do you
Doing great,
spell
man.
Bazak?
Bizzak. Bizak.
Bazak.
All right, just
Listen,
curious.
y'all-
Just a guess.
I'm glad he asked me because
Just
I
a
was going to say B.A. Zach. Keep it
That's what I was
moving,
waiting
baby.
for. That was what I was waiting for. So what's on deck today, Mr. Carl?
Hey, so I want to talk a little bit about, man, I appreciate the heck out of you pronouncing my name correctly. Because you
No, I just heard you say it last week on the show. I
how
was
rare.
like, that's how you say it.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, I'm glad you were paying attention.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
So I want to talk a little bit about the NFL draft while Drew polishes his trophy. That is a pretty trophy, by the way, man. Nice work.
It's
Appreciate
all right.
it.
It's all right.
So-
Somebody earlier called it a JV trophy, but
I know, I heard that.
Yeah.
all right.
It always somebody from Collier
Hey, it
County.
matches your outfit, bro. That's nice.
It does. It does.
It's nice.
Collier County.
So I find myself this past week, paying more attention to the NFL draft than I have in years past, and I think a lot of that is because as we've lived in Florida for the last 6 years now, and as being a part of the high school football scene, and a lot of the kids I know, and from being around you guys and being around the kids, a lot of the kids that I've been around have aspirations of making it to the NFL, and they're starting to get recruited by colleges. The offers are rolling in. Drew, you said last week correctly that Southwest Florida is on fire in terms of scholarships and offers and attention from recruiters. So I find myself paying attention to the draft. Dalvin Cook from Miami, from a Florida State guy, he went. We'll talk about positioning later. But I was really in tune with the NFL draft, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion on some of the surprises, some of the draft picks that stood out to you. I've got a couple listed here. I know, Drew, you are a huge Chicago Bears fan.
No, I am.
So we'll
No,
start.
not
Oh, sorry.
Drew.
OG. My bad. OG, you're a
I ain't
huge
even
Bears
gonna
fan.
mention my team.
Oh, we're going to talk about him.
Hell yeah.
So what did you think about your guys not only picking Trubisky, but moving up to get him?
Well, when I first saw it, when I was watching the draft, and they moved up, I'm like, what are they doing moving up one spot? All
One
right?
spot.
And the whole time when I was paying attention to this online and reading up on the Bears and draft coming up and everything, who Ryan Pace was talking to, this, that, and the other thing, it was all about Deshaun Watson. That
Yes.
was the rumor.
Yes.
Okay. Or the safety that they were talking about. Anyway, but so when they moved up and then they picked Trubisky, I almost fell out of my chair.
Yeah.
Okay, because they were reported not even having him in a meeting, a one-on-one meeting. They didn't even have one. Trubisky was even surprised that they drafted him.
Right.
And the fact that they gave up 3 picks to move up one spot to get him, I was just dumbfounded. I'm like, why are you doing that? Because right after that, San Francisco just picked a D lineman, I believe. There was no interest in them picking him. But the more I paid attention throughout the week or the weekend, you come to find out that there was other teams trying to hop the Bears and get to the 2 spot to pick Trubisky, supposedly.
Okay, so they almost had, if that was their guy on the top of their board, they had to do what they did.
Exactly. Well, that's what they're saying. Those are the rumors, and that's what everybody's saying, that there was they talked to John Lynch. Pace talked to John Lynch earlier in the week and said, just let me know if there's other teams trying to get above us, and let us know what we got to do to keep them from doing that. And that was the conversation, I guess, for the last week. So they gave up those picks knowing that there was other teams trying to jump them to get to that spot.
Sure.
So I guess, only time will tell. We can sit there and debate all these picks all day, but it's going to be 2, 3, 4 years before anybody knows who's right.
Do you think he's the answer for you guys? Honestly.
I don't know. I particularly would have rather have Deshaun Watson.
Thank you. Me too. I can't
he's a
believe he
leader.
went
He's
as
a
far down as he
winner.
went.
He's got swag. He's got the confidence. He's got the game.
Championship pedigree.
Right. And that's just me. But apparently the Bears saw something in Trubisky that they thought was worth. Basically, Pace thought it was worth putting his job on it.
Yes, he did.
Because that's what he did. He married his job to that pick when he did that. So
Absolutely.
He figures, he's going all in with him. He put all his chips in with him, and we'll see what happens. I hope he is the guy. I really do hope he is the guy. So we'll see.
Now, do you guys feel like, it's a big thing saying that people went after the guys that they needed this year more so than, the
Best available.
Yeah,
Yeah, more so maybe this year than in years past. I think,
Right.
Obviously best available is always going to be a huge determining factor in who you pick after the first 2 or 3, right? If you're in the first 1, 2, or 3 picks, you have the luxury of picking who you want versus who's best available.
Right.
But I do think that this year, some guys who I thought were best available slipped way far down the draft, than they should have been, and teams were drafting more based on need, to your point. For instance, the Titans had the number 5 pick, and they took Corey Davis.
Who?
Correct.
Who? I think I would.
Who is that? I don't know. Do you know who Corey Davis is?
I didn't.
I didn't know who he was until I saw
He's
his
a
name come
Tennessee
across the board.
Titan.
He's a Tennessee Titan
He is
now.
now.
I know
Hey,
who
He is now.
But after doing some research and looking at the film, he looks like a solid receiver. And from a playing perspective, he needs receivers. Mariota needs receivers out there, right?
Right,
He can't be running the ball like crazy.
Well, absolutely. There's sometimes there's best available and there's need. It depends on how bad your need is.
Now, I will say this. Mike Williams was available. Mike Williams from Clemson was available at 5. They took a receiver who was not named Mike Williams.
Yeah.
That was a huge surprise to me. If you were going to take a receiver and he wasn't the guy that you took first, they must have really, really loved this guy in the interviews. That was a surprise.
Well, that's
to me,
what
for
I was
sure.
getting ready to touch on, is that these guys do so much research and so much digging and they do so much looking into these guys and meeting with them, watching them play and dissecting their film, that they know what they're looking for. And I mean, they know more than we do, on paper, I guess. And like I said, nobody can ever say who's wrong or who's right. We're 2-3 years off from even figuring that out.
Yeah, if
So-
those guys are even, fit into the program. Because for Chicago, to be honest with you, Trubisky fits the Chicago Bears system. Like, you just got to be realistic. He's that, Jay Cutler type guy.
Yep. Strong arm, sling it all over the place.
The type of person, even though, he only has 1 year of, college experience where he started. That's what really surprised me. Like, it was a guy, that just really played 1 year. And, he did great. But, do you sit up and say, okay, this is the guy that we want after just playing one season, when you got a guy from Clemson that played 3 seasons and did awesome all 3 seasons.
2 national championships, won one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was up for Heisman at one point, but
Yeah,
yeah,
so,
I mean, it's hard to say. And the other thing about with the Bears and drafting him, everybody said, well, they signed Mike Glennon for $13 million in the offseason. Well, that's really a 1-year contract. It goes down to $2.5 million after that in the second and third year. So it's really a 1-year contract. So, he's going to sit the bench.
Sure.
All right, he's going to sit next year, and he's going to watch Glennon play, unless it goes south with Glennon, like real south.
Right.
But he's going to sit, he's going to learn. He might even sit for 2 years. So it might be 3, 4, 5 years before we figure out if he's the guy, Trubisky.
I just was surprised that he was the first quarterback off the board.
Oh, me
I
too.
was
Me
blown
too.
away by that.
but do you use your first round pick for a guy to come sit behind somebody? Or do you go around and look for the guy that you need to play now?
If it's a quarterback, I think you pick a guy that you're comfortable sitting. Any other position, I think you expect him to come in and play right away.
Right.
For instance, Aaron Rodgers
I
was
getting-
drafted
he
by
took the
Green
name
Bay
right out of my
in the
mouth.
first round, and he sat for several years before he took over, and the fruits of that labor for Green Bay are paying off exponentially, right? The dividends are paying off in a huge way.
Difference is they had a guy named Brett Favre in front of him.
Well, correct.
You know what I
for
mean?
Sure, for sure.
So,
But
Mike
a guy
Glennon
like
and Brett Favre is two different worlds right there.
But that position demands of a player to sit back and watch and kind of understand the offense and understand the flow and the speed of the game before they jump right in. A guy like Fournette, who goes to Jacksonville, he's going to be expected to be a 1,500-yard rusher off jump.
Right.
That's
Does it, though?
expected of him.
Does it, though, these days? That's the old school way of thinking. Sitting these guys for 2-3 years, letting them get their mind wrapped around this position, learning defenses and learning it, off the sidelines. That's old school way of thinking. Nowadays, fans, owners, coaches, not so much coaches, but more fans and owners are expecting these guys to be impact players right now.
Yeah.
Not year 1, year 2. I mean, look at Dak. Look at Dak Prescott.
He's an anomaly, though, man.
Is
if you
he?
look at the
Is
top
he?
five QBs in the league, let's just name a couple of them. Brady, Rodgers. I mean, those guys, they all sat first. There's very few QBs in the league who are elite level right now that didn't sit first.
Right.
Peyton Manning didn't sit first, but he was garbage.
He
his
struggled
first year.
early,
Yeah,
though.
He
He
was
struggled early.
garbage.
So you either have to have a patient fan base and a patient owner,
Yeah.
or you have to have a QB that can come in and sit for a little bit.
Yeah.
But,
Unless you're Dak
the other
Dak
thing, the
Prescott.
other reason Trubisky needs to sit is because he doesn't have anybody around him right now either. They need to draft. The old line's not too bad. They're
Kevin
not
White's
that
going to be big for you guys this year. He's going to be healthy for the first time since he got drafted.
bad. Yeah, but who's he
I
going to
think
throw
he's
the
gonna
ball
be big.
to?
Yeah, he really
now.
don't have any burners over there.
Right.
And
so-
another thing, like, I want to get on
point.
the running back situation.
Yeah.
The only reason why I felt like McCaffrey, like he's an elite running back.
Sure.
But you have to go with the fact that he went to Stanford.
Okay.
So, no, this is the reason why.
Okay.
Because we're expecting a guy to come in and play. That's just our top, you know what I'm saying, supposed to be prestigious school. So, they're all about the books there.
Yeah.
So a guy like that, you will think, he has the mental capacity to come in and learn an offense quick.
Yep.
So I can feel why, he went before a lot of other guys.
Well,
but because all around player. He
I was gonna say he's pretty versatile too. He does a lot. He can run the ball, he can catch the ball in the backfield, he can jump in the slot.
Hey,
He can
return
do a lot of
kicks,
different-
return punts.
return
Yeah.
kicks and punts.
Yeah.
So I mean, he can be used in a lot of different ways. If he doesn't come right off the right into the training camp or right into the season as your number one back, he can still return kicks and be in the slot and come in on third down situations to help you out right off the get.
You think he's better than Dalvin Cook though? Because I don't.
In the long run, probably not.
Yeah.
No.
To
I
me,
don't.
Dalvin Cook was the best back in the draft, and the fact that he went in the second round was
Yeah.
Oh my
astonishing.
God!
to me.
I mean, how many Florida State fans have to sit there and watch on Facebook like, I can't believe they're not drafting.
I couldn't
Y'all
believe
are gonna regret your decision.
And then, but it wasn't even. It was the more so haters. Florida State was just like Florida.
No,
State
it was
fans
Florida
were-
State fans saying.
No, it was the Florida Gators and Miami fans. Oh, you guys at Florida State don't have a first rounder. Oh, you Dalvin Cook, he's still there.
But he ended up in a
Dalvin
great
Cook
spot.
needs a job. He can come, work part time for UPS. Like,
That's funny.
He ended up in a great spot, though.
For real.
Minnesota's a great place. They have a great defense right now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, their quarterback situation is a little bit in flux with Bridgewater being hurt and Sam Bradford being a little bit, wish-washy.
but they just lost Adrian Peterson.
With
Exactly.
with
He's
my-
going to get tons of carries.
With my luck as a Bears fan, he's gonna be phenomenal.
Yeah.
With my luck.
And you got to
And
see
he's
him
gonna be
twice a
off
year.
the- He's gonna be off the charts.
That's
And
right.
Good.
Trubisky is going to be sitting over there.
That's all right. Yeah. I mean, I hope Dalvin Cook does well. And the other part about it, the big worry with I think why the Bucs and maybe Miami passed on it was, I think some of the teams, maybe Atlanta, that were close to Tallahassee or close to Miami, around family. That was some of the worries about Dalvin Cook, was being too close to home.
Sure.
Being around his boys,
Sure.
being around his friends, being around influences that might affect him to go the wrong way
Mm-hmm.
and take his mind off of football. So Minnesota
Ace
might be a good
far away.
spot from him.
It's
for
hard
him.
to get in trouble in Minnesota, man. Ain't nothing up there but snow and shopping malls.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
a
hard to
big
get in
mall.
trouble
That's a
up there.
big mall, though.
It is huge.
You can get lost in there.
Right.
So
The next thing I want to bring up as it relates to the draft, and I'm excited to get into this topic because here at Big Dreams, we really try to do the best job we can in helping mold the minds of the young kids that follow us and watch us. Again, I spoke earlier about the scholarships that are being offered, and a lot of these guys have NFL aspirations, and they're well on their way to making that. I want to talk about a couple of guys that slipped way farther down the draft board than maybe they should have based on their talent, but some of their off-the-field issues kind of crept into the decisions being made about their draft status, and it hurt them tremendously. The first guy I want to talk about is Reuben Foster from Alabama. So this guy, as a linebacker, was designated early as being the best linebacker in the draft, potentially a top 10 pick talent-wise, and he fell all the way to 31, second to last pick in the first round, going to the 49ers. And a lot of that had to do with his treatment of some of the people around him, and a huge incident that had happened at a hospital when he went and treated the hospital staff poorly. Apparently he had a major issue and was extremely disrespectful, and he got kicked out of a hospital based on the way that he acted in a certain situation when he was forced to wait for treatment. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what you think about not necessarily draft status, but obviously as it relates to the kids here in Southwest Florida, their potential scholarship opportunities and some of the ways that they can help themselves stay out of that situation where their stock is being hurt, not by what they do on the field, but off the field.
One of the main things I think is that kids have to understand, especially once you put on the football helmet, that it's a target on your back. People hold you at a standard that is so high, and sometimes that pressure can be too much. But you have to figure it out and understand that, listen, you got a lot of people around you that want you to succeed, and you have to find those guys. Because you hang around the wrong people that don't have anything going for themselves, they're going to bring you down. And, if you go talking to somebody and you have a problem, and then next thing you know, they don't have anything going for yourself, so they're going to give you some negative advice. And it's hard being an athlete. Like, it's the hardest thing in the world, because you have to understand, you have to get up sometimes, let's just put it on high school, for instance, for right now.
Sure.
These kids literally have to get up from between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning.
Every day.
Now just think about when football season's in, or any sport that they're in besides probably track. They have to get up and do early morning workouts.
Yep.
So then you're up, then you don't get home until 5, 6 o'clock. Bro, that's a lot
And
of
if you have a
hours.
job,
Yes.
on top of that too.
And then right now, spring's in. So these kids won't get home to 6 to 7 o'clock at night, and they're wore out. And then you got to do homework, and you got to, maybe if you got a job, go to your job and still uphold, that standard. Like, you're not just an ordinary guy. And pressure comes with being an athlete.
Sure.
Like, it's a lot of pressure.
Your teachers hold you to a different standard.
Yes.
Your classmates hold you to a different standard. Your coaches, your teammates. I mean, the community, right? I mean,
Yes.
like the community is invested in these guys, man, and they have to understand that.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on athletes, okay? But I mean, there's a lot of benefits that come out of being an athlete as well.
Sure.
And with those benefits comes jealousy. And even the people you think are close to you they don't have the opportunities that you're getting. They're not grinding the way. And they wish they could do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Might not be looking out for you the way. We've talked about this a bunch of times on the show.
All right.
All right. Here's the reality of it. There's for whatever actions you take or whatever you do, there's always repercussions. There's always a reaction. There's always penalty. There's always something following that. So you have to be aware of your surroundings. Know that there's Facebook, there's social media, there's cameras, there's camera phones. Somebody's always watching.
Always.
And you just can't do anything you want to do, say anything you want to say, act any way you want to act, and expect people not to notice.
Yeah.
They're going to notice. And you know what? And I think at a young age, it's hard for them to mentally wrap their mind around that there's consequences. That's the word I was looking for before.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's consequences to your
Every
actions.
action.
Every action.
Okay, there's consequences. And I think in the moment, some of these kids, when they're young and they're passionate and they don't have a grip on life and the way it really works, because sometimes you've been coddled and sometimes people don't tell you no.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Down the road, there's consequences, and people are going to hold you to a standard and expect you to uphold that standard.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't, there's consequences, like falling in the draft or not getting drafted or not getting the respect that you think that maybe you deserve. So,
Is that mom?
it might be. Anyway, so that's
still working on
but
that
the thing
segment,
is,
by the
the
way.
thing I'm trying to get at is the sooner that you realize that there's consequences for your actions and you got to be held to a standard and you need to act a certain way, the better off you're going to be. Exactly. I know it's not the best. Sometimes you got to turn the other cheek, and sometimes you're going to be treated unfairly. But the best thing to do is to walk away, keep your mouth shut, and keep your pride in check.
I'm so glad that you said that. And to me, that is the biggest lesson that all of these kids can learn from all these situations. The other guy we were going to talk about is Caleb Brantley from Florida. He's a Florida guy, so all of us know who he is. He was projected as a first, maybe second round pick, and he fell all the way to the 6th round pick as he was indicted with battery charges for hitting a girl in some disagreement that he got into. Listen, guys, as OG just said, sometimes it's going to take you guys keeping the big picture in mind before you make a decision. Turn the other cheek. I know how hard it is to not say what you want to say when someone says something to you, or do what you want to do when someone does something to you and you feel slighted or feel wronged. But you have to keep the big picture in mind and understand that you have way more to lose than maybe some of the people that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And the better you can do a job that you can do of keeping that big picture in mind and saying, hey, is what I'm getting ready to say worth my scholarship? Is this girl that is, hitting me or yelling at me or whatever the case may be, she's mad because maybe you talked to another girl or gave somebody a number, whatever it is, it's something stupid. Is this argument worth my scholarship? Is it worth my future? The answer is always no. So to OG's point, you may have to be the bigger person. You may have to learn how to walk away from situations that maybe you wouldn't usually walk away from, but it is always a better decision to walk away than to react in the moment. And these guys, Reuben Foster, Caleb Brantley, some of these guys in the draft just learned that the hard way, and it cost them millions of dollars. Maybe it cost you a scholarship. Maybe it cost you a captaincy on your team. Maybe it cost you whatever it is. But believe me, whatever the decision you're getting ready to make in that moment is not worth your future.
And the other thing I want to touch on real quick, I don't want to interrupt you, but before we cut out of this conversation is you have to understand wherever you go out in public. Sometimes I was touched on this when I first started talking about people how to get you. People are going. You need to keep in mind. You need to know before you go anywhere. People are going to test you.
Yes.
They're going to test your limits, test your patience to see what they can get away with and say to you, and how far they can push you to see if they can break you. And that's their goal. A lot of people, like I said, are jealous. They don't have the opportunities that you have, and they want that opportunity. So when they see you, they're going to test you, say what they, and you got to get used to that. If you're going to go big time D1, if you're going to go to the NFL, you're going to have to get used to people saying things to you and saying what they want about you and have a thicker skin, because people are going to test you until they break you. And it was funny because I saw something on Facebook with Ernest Graham. He was talking about, it was early on in his rookie year or whatever, and he was talking about being in Philly, and the draft was in Philly, and how ruthless those fans were.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he said I think it might have been his rookie year.
Yeah.
And he was still kind of getting used to everything, and he was in Philadelphia warming up, and one of the fans said, "Hey, Graham." And he turned around, he waved him over, and he thought, hey, man,
Cool
he's happy somebody knew him.
Right.
He's happy somebody knew him. He said, ran up, they thought he was going to sign a ball or something like that. The guy took a sip of his beer, and he said, "Who the are you?"
Right. Right.
He said, just shut him down. You know what I mean? And that's what you're going to have to deal with.
Right.
People are going to try and break you. People are trying to get in your head and push you to a limit all the time.
Social media exacerbates that a lot too, because like one of the things that I love by following a lot of these kids in their social media, be it on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, I love when they get an offer and they post it immediately.
Yeah.
I love seeing, hey, I'm blessed to receive my 19th offer from the University of Florida,
offers.
or
that's
my
unheard of.
24th offer from the University of Wake Forest, or whatever it is. Like, I love seeing that, but guess what? Everybody sees that. So when you're out and about, somebody's like, hey, this guy's got 24 offers. Hey, like the OG said, let's test him. See what he's, see if he can keep his wits about him. You know what I mean? Whatever, So you got to be cognizant of that, man, and understand that you've got so much to lose. Your futures are so bright, and it's definitely not worth, in the heat of the moment, making a bad decision, be it with your words, be it with your actions. It's definitely not worth it, man. We're pulling for you guys, and if you need help, reach out to us, man. We here. We got you.
Always here. All right, well, that's the end of this segment. We'll be right back with That What She Said.
You're
Big
watching
Dreams.
Big Dreams Sports
Tonight
TV.
is That What C Said. Courtney and Carl. That's what C said.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
She said.
Yes.
Oh, man, that's your own segment, man.
Killer.
This
You
guy.
already know.
This guy.
I am sweating.
All right, we're going to be right back, y'all.
Welcome back to Big Dream Sports TV. Hi, Carl. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm sitting in for Nicole today. So we officially renamed the segment. That's what C said.
C. Get it? Courtney.
Carl. That's what C said. Coming to you live and direct. What's good?
Nothing much. Have you been watching NBA playoffs?
Oh man, I watched almost every game. I don't miss a game. I'm a huge NBA guy, so I've been watching almost every game. Was watching Washington and Boston before I came here to the studio today. Washington got out to a 16-0 lead in that game.
Oh, wow, they did.
They were up 16-0. I thought this game, it had me thinking the series was over.
It was over? Really?
And then Isaiah Thomas decided to wake up. Shout out to Isaiah for playing through an incredible amount of stress and heavy-heartedness and all that stuff with losing his sister. He went nuts. They had 4 players in over 20 points, and they ended up winning that game going away. So Boston looks like they might be the real deal right now.
Yeah, that is true. I do like John Wall, though. He's playing very well.
He is. Him and Bradley both.
Yes, both of them, too.
It's definitely not over, but...
Yeah, that's going to be a very good series. And then also the next one, Toronto or Cleveland. Who do you have for that one?
Man, I cannot see anybody in the East beating Cleveland in 4 times out of 7. I just can't see it.
Yeah.
LeBron's not going to let it happen.
Yeah.
Kyrie's playing too well right now. And the scary part for all the other teams in the East is when the closeout game in Game 4 that Cleveland played, in their most recent series, Kyrie and Kevin Love did not play 1 minute in the fourth quarter.
Oh, they didn't.
So LeBron took that team and carried them to victory in Game 4 in the sweep against Indiana, and their second and third best player didn't play 1 minute. So if he's going to be able to close out games without those guys on the floor, I don't think anybody else in the East has a chance.
So you think they're going to beat Boston? Because I love Boston. I love the way they play. I love their team. I love Isaiah Thomas. You know what I mean? He's only what? He's not even 6 foot, I don't think.
5'9".
5'9", and just playing with so much.
You might be taller than him. Are you taller than 5'9"?
Well, I'm about 5'8", 5'7". I don't know.
All right. So if they list him at 5'9", it's probably safe to say he's probably 5'8". So Courtney and Isaiah the same height. That's why she loves him. They're the same height.
But I just love how he plays and his heart and his just everything. I mean, I wish him best of luck.
The mental toughness that he's displayed playing through all of this craziness going on with his family that he's played through is something that I haven't seen. Obviously, a completely different circumstance. But if you remember several years ago when Kobe was going through that trial in Colorado and he was catching private flights back and forth, he'd be in court. And then later that night, be on the court,
and
playing.
that's the same thing that happened to D-Wade with his custody battle with his child. I mean, they have a lot of issues that they go through, and they still have to come out every day and play.
Yeah, Isaiah Thomas is playing really well. It makes me nervous that their best player is 5'9". Going up against Cleveland, because I'm sure they'll meet. But it's going to be an interesting series.
Yep, and then Houston and San Antonio.
I tell you what, that series to me is that's going to be one of the best series that we see in all the playoffs, regardless of what happens. Who do you think is going to win that series, and why?
I have to go with San Antonio.
Okay.
I just think with the history and their experience in the playoffs, I think they're just going to win. I do like Harden, of course, but I think Harden doesn't play any defense, and I hate that about him. And that's why I don't think he should get the MVP, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So I have San Antonio.
Here, what it boils down to me is Harden and Kawhi, and one of those guys has a much better chance of locking the other guy up than the other.
Oh, absolutely.
Kawhi is going to do a great job of playing defense on Harden. Harden's not going to do a very good job of playing defense on Kawhi. So I think that's really what the series boils down to. But both teams can shoot the lights out. It's going to be a great series. I expect it to go 7 games, but I would have to go with San Antonio as well.
San Antonio, yeah. And then last one, Golden State and Utah. I got Golden State.
Wait, did Utah just beat LA?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's another first round exit for CP3.
Yeah.
That's tough on his legacy, man.
Yeah,
I don't feel bad for him.
No, why?
I don't, because he's consistently labeled as a top 5 point guard. Some people have him top 5 of all time in terms of point guards, and he can't get out of the first round. With Blake, with DeAndre.
He lost Blake this playoffs again. That keeps happening.
He's still got DeAndre. He's still got Jamal Crawford. He's still got JJ Redick.
He's not really a scorer, so you're not looking to him to score.
That's true. I don't know, man. I tell you what, I think they might get swept. I think Utah's getting swept by Golden State.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Utah's getting swept. Yeah. They might as well just be ready for an early vacation. Yeah. Gordon Hayward just going to go ahead and trim his hair up real quick and get ready to hit the sights because they're going home early.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about D-Wade. He has a chance to opt out this season. Well, before next season.
Yes.
What do you think he's going to do?
I got to tell you, I was very, very surprised that he ended up walking away from Miami and going to Chicago in the first place. But that's home for him, right? Chicago's where he's from. He's Chicago born and raised. I would be D-Wade does not strike me as the kind of guy who wants to play for more than – I thought he would never play for more than one team in his career.
Yeah,
I cannot in any way see him playing for more than 2 teams in his career. So I think he's definitely going to re-up with Chicago and retire as a Bull. That's what I think.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, I know.
That's my favorite player. So to see him leave from Miami to Chicago, I was like –
yeah,
it
was. And what's funny, it goes to show you that it wasn't about the money.
Yeah.
Because Miami offered him more. He just didn't feel like he was treated properly. Yeah. So I think he'll re-up with Chicago and he'll retire as a Bull and he'll go in the Hall of Fame for sure. But I think he'll re-sign with Chicago.
Okay. All right, so I have all area boys basketball. Amari Haynes from Mariner. Caleb Cotto for Southwest Florida Christian Academy. Jarvis Martin from Lehigh. Jamel Myers from Mariner, Brandon Lewis from South.
B-Lou.
And that's it. So good job to you guys. And then also our area girls basketball.
Okay.
Patterson from Dunbar, Destiny Henderson from Fort Myers, Aisa Curry from Lehigh. And she averaged 58% from the field this season. Yes.
58%.
And Jara from Fort Myers and Autumn for Fort Myers as well. So
shout out to those
Yes.
girls. They were on our show.
yeah, they were.
A couple
they
of
were.
them, yeah.
So.
So shout out to you guys for
Yeah.
making all what is it, all area?
All
city?
area.
All area. That's a
Yep.
big deal, man. Nice
Yep.
job.
And then also shout out to Bishop Farrell for winning the girls softball 4A districts. So they did very well.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. What any boys baseball? What's going on with that?
The only thing I found out was Ida Baker beat Riverdale 7-2. I really couldn't find information about that.
Okay.
But-
No, I just was curious because I haven't checked in on
yeah,
Estero.
but I know Cypress is still in there, and I believe Estero, but I just haven't found like a,
Okay.
like a playoff sheet or anything
We'll
like
have to
that.
give you
so-
guys some updates next
Yeah.
week on the boys baseball happenings. But shout out to the
Yeah.
girls of Fort Myers.
Yep.
B. Lou, he's been on the show. Shout out to him
And he
for
just
making all
signed
area.
with Wesleyan College in Delaware, so good job.
Congratulations to you, man. 1,000-point score. That's a big deal, man.
Yeah.
Great job. That's amazing.
Yep. Well,
All right.
All right.
That's what C said.
said.
Yeah, that's what C said. I got comfortable up here, man. We're going to have to do this more often. Nicole, you can just go ahead and stay home. We got this. Don't worry about us. We'll be right back with more Big Dreams. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.
Hey, welcome back to Big Dream Sports TV.
Sitting here with the homie OG. You may notice that that Drew's gone. He had to dip out of here and go take a bath in Epsom salt and go ice those muscles. He was hurting.
I think he started cramping up off set, fell to the ground. He stunk too, so we had to really get him out of here. I was tired of spraying Lysol on his butt.
Yeah, we
So it was like, bro, you got to go, man. We can't handle this around here.
had to let him out of here.
So needless to say, Drew's up out of here for now.
So one quick thing I want to touch on. One of the things that happened in the last couple of days, LeVar Ball, which has been a subject on our show a couple different times about different things that's gone on, and we said that some of his boisterous support of his kids, we'll call it boisterous support, right, in the interest of being politically correct, could potentially go sideways for his kids. And the first manifestation of that just happened a couple of days ago when all three of the major shoe companies, Adidas, Under Armour, and Nike, all decided to pass on offering Lonzo Ball a shoe contract. It's the first time in the history of the league that a top pick has been shunned by all three. And I want to know what you think about that.
Well, they made it. I mean, they had their meetings with those three companies.
Yes, they did.
And they made it very clear what their stipulations were as far as they wanted this model shoe. They had a prototype. They wanted like $1 billion, and they wanted to incorporate the Big Baller brand.
That's right.
With whatever company was interested.
That's right.
You know, if you're coming out the gate, you're not calling the shots when you're
That's
dealing
right.
with Nike, Under Armour, and Adidas. They're not having that. Like, who are you?
Right.
You know how many people they put on the mat, how many shoe deals they've done. They're not going to function like that. You're not going to push
Agreed.
those guys around.
Agreed.
So, I mean, that's what ended up happening.
And you know, here's the crazy thing about it. Like they were willing to make a business decision that was potentially hazardous to their bottom line. Hey, this kid might end up being a top 5 point guard in the league off the
big old
jump.
zero, though. Yeah.
Right, off the jump. And they're willing to forego every part of their business with him just to keep out all those rules and stipulations and the Big Baller brand. Like, that just goes to show you how impactful, from a negative perspective, how negatively impactful his influence has been on this entire process.
Right, but if you look at it, it's like, oh, they're willing to forgo all that money, or, you know, if he turns out to be some superstar. So what? To them, you know how many superstars they got signed right now? They don't need Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball needs them. That's the way they look at it. You know, like, you're one guy.
Yeah.
There's going to be another one and another one and another one the next year, next 2, 3 years. They don't need Lonzo Ball, is my point. So, I mean, they're not, are they really losing out on cutting ties with Lonzo Ball? I don't think so.
Well, because it's the first time it's ever happened, I have to think that that's a decision that they don't make. They do not make that decision if he's not involved to the degree that he is, right?
Right.
Like they sign him if he's not saying that and doing that, they're signing him,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. But like I said in the beginning, they put their stipulations out there. This is what it's going to take to sign my son to a shoe contract. They're like, well, then forget it.
Do you think in any way that this potentially harms the relationship between Lonzo and LeVar?
No, I don't think so, because I think they probably have had plenty of sit-downs at their house at the dinner table and talked about their plan, their big picture plan, and this is how they're going to approach things. And if it doesn't work out, they're comfortable with just doing their own thing with the big baller brand. And I think that family in general, the confidence they have in themselves, don't see themselves failing. To them right now, in their minds, they're like, oh, too bad for you. We're going to stick it to you. Watch what we do. You're going to regret this decision. Time will tell if that's the case. We'll find out. But right now, I don't think. Right now, do I feel like there's a rift? There could be a rift? No. 5 years from now, 3 years from now, when maybe he's not doing. When I said 0 a minute ago, he could turn out to be a nada. You know, that's a big gamble on the balls. But if it doesn't work out career-wise for Lonzo Ball, or something happens, and he passed up how many millions of dollars in the shoe contract, there might be a rift down the road. You know, you cost me this back then when I was listening to you, type of deal. But for now, I think they're all on the same page.
So one more question regarding this, because on this show, both you and I have both agreed that for all of the hubris and all of the things that LeVar Ball said about his son, specifically Lonzo, obviously because he's the first one out and he's, you know, in the draft and all those things, you and I both have said that for all of that, at the very least, he's a marketing genius and he's making smart decisions on behalf of his sons. Has your opinion at all changed? Because I'll tell you, after seeing all three companies pass on his kid as a result of the stipulations and the things that he's got in place and that he's trying to accomplish, my opinion has changed. He's gone, in my mind, from a marketing genius to a meddling father who has now become a detriment to his son's financial success as a result of these things that he's put in place.
No, I have to agree with that. I mean, right now, that's the way it looks.
Yeah.
But like I said before, time will tell. He's banking on his son. I mean, but that's instant money that you're passing up. You know, he's got a ball now. He's got to play. He's got to be an all-star. He's got to be a 10-time all-star. He's got to get those contracts in. And if he plays the way that they expect him to play, he'll get those endorsements. He'll get that money.
Sure.
He's just not getting it now.
Right.
You know, my question for you is, which is interesting, because I want to throw this out there. Lonzo Ball is Lonzo Ball. Let's say back in the day, LeBron James was coming out of high school, and he had the same stipulation. He had his own brand that he wanted, like let's say the King brand, and he wanted to incorporate that with these shoe companies and say, I'm not signing with you unless you take my brand and incorporate it, and I want this much to incorporate it. Mm-hmm. Would they have done the same thing to LeBron James? Or a player or a Kobe Bryant?
Here's what I'll say.
Or Kevin Garnett out the gate?
Here's what I'll say.
Or would they give him a little more wiggle room?
If you're asking about LeBron specifically, I think that everyone knew coming out that LeBron was a generational talent. I think that he was viewed as a generational talent, someone who was going to transcend, racial barriers or any of those things that may be potential stumbling blocks for a kid like Lonzo or whatever may be going on. Lonzo's considered a top 5 draft pick. I think LeBron was considered a top 5 all-time player potentially coming out.
Right.
So I think if he would have come in with those stipulations, I think the shoe companies would have maybe gone along with it. Maybe they scale it back to a degree.
Right.
But I think they would have been far more apt to acquiesce to his demands than maybe that of Lonzo Ball. Also, I have to say that I think that they would do that because LeVar wasn't involved to that degree.
Right.
Right? Because it's not only on talent alone. I think sometimes the league and the shoe companies are maybe just trying to teach a lesson.
Right.
Like you can't come in strong-arming us like that.
Well, and you could also look at it like this. Those shoe companies look at them like, you're not that good. Who do you think you are to come in here and make these demands?
Right.
Like, You know, LeBron James, that was a bidding war for his shoe
Oh, sure,
contract.
for sure.
They were fighting over him.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure anybody was fighting over Lonzo Ball's shoe contract. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
maybe that's kind of a message they're sending too.
Right.
Like, you're good, but like, let's not get carried away now.
Right. I just read a thing just earlier yesterday that LeBron said.
That's cute. That's cute.
That is a cute picture. It's a love a father has for a son.
Yeah.
You just cost your kid $10 million.
No, that's the face that's the face they're giving to Nike and Adidas and all that. You know, maybe 5 years now. Yeah.
I just read a thing that LeBron said that you know, he and his mom were being evicted from apartments and they lived in the projects, and all of a sudden he was literally holding a check for $10 million. Right, their rent was $200 a month, and he's holding a check for $10 million from Adidas and turned it down. Right, and then he bet big on himself. And Nike just gave him a $1 billion contract, lifetime contract. So, you know, maybe he's betting big on his kid, and maybe it pans out. But I cannot stress enough the fact that I think that he's now become a detriment instead of a booster for his kid, for sure.
I think in the short term, they're going to find a way to make money, the Bulls are, off of this, off all the marketing that they have done. They'll get a TV show. They'll do their reality thing. There'll be little endorsements along the way as far as maybe McDonald's or a sports drink or something like that. They're going to get their money. He's going to sign a contract, and they're going to be fine.
Right.
But that was a hefty chunk of change that just got pulled off the table for them.
Yes, it is.
So, I mean, I don't feel sorry for them at all. They did it, you know, that's the route they decided to take. And just like the draft, time will tell. And it's, you know, something we can follow and, you know, next year and watch, and it's going to be interesting to see. So,
yeah,
you know, it's another storyline that we can sit there
That's
and pay
right.
attention, pay attention to as sports fans. So
absolutely,
kind of makes it exciting to
for
me
sure,
to
for
see
sure,
what happens.
and to see where he goes in the draft and all that stuff.
As the NBA turns, as the world turns.
Game of Zones. Check out
drama,
Bleacher-
the soap
Bleacher
opera
Report.
of professional sports.
That's right.
You gotta
that's right.
love it. So.
Appreciate you guys tuning in today. Shout out to Drew. He's home soaking in the Epsom salt, trying to relieve his injuries from his football game. Shout out to his team for winning first place. That's amazing. OG's back. We love having him back. He's in the fold. His throat's feeling good. You know, his trachea is intact. You know, we happy about that. I'm Carl Kauser signing off for Big Dreams. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Thanks for watching Big Dream Sports TV. We'll see you again next week, guys.
Back and better than ever next week.